Now, if you don't know, for many years now, I would say on the Linux desktop, there has been one application that continues to ignore its feature improvements that they need to do to improve the desktop client on the Linux desktop. Now, what application am I talking about? Well, if you've read the title, it's about Discord, and it's about the Discord on Linux situation and how Discord has mostly been ignoring some of the major things and features that need to be improved in the application, and they just continue to ignore it, or they say that it's on the lowest tier of things to do and it's going to be done by the end of the year. Now, yeah, if you don't know, Discord did release their desktop client for Linux back in 2017, a pretty long time ago that they released that, and for the most part it was okay. I think it missed like a bunch of features that Windows had, and I think at the time, like screen sharing wasn't that big of a thing, so it wasn't really that big of a problem. But as time went on, I think Discord realized that, Linux wasn't really growing as much when it came to the Linux user base that used Discord. And so when it came to some of the important features that needed to be added to Discord to have a good feature parity to Windows, those features were just not going to happen at all because of this user base being so low. Now you may be thinking, what issues are you talking about? I would expect it to be the same feature parity to Windows. It should be the exact same. But if we switch screens here, if we go to our desktop recording, and if we have a look at Discord right now, it looks basically the exact same as it does on Windows. But when we want to do some of the unique features that Discord offers, like screen sharing for one, rich presence, Discord Quest, which I know most people don't really care about, but it is something that is currently broken on Linux, and the clip feature that Windows users like to use to get a clip out of their screen shares that they're screen sharing, and there's a couple other little things that make the experience when using Discord not that great. Now, the first one I talked about was rich presence, and rich presence is a bit weird on Linux how it works. It kind of just scopes out all the processes that are running on your computer, and then it just picks whichever one it thinks is the correct application or game that you are running. So if we do go to the user settings here and we go all the way down to registered games, we can see that, yeah, there is some registered games, but you can see here that it tries to register some odd names that it thinks correct name of the game that you're trying to play. So sometimes, for example, if you try to play the finals, right, here's one, here's Discovery. Sometimes it'll come up and it'll say playing Discovery. Other times you can look at this one, which is very, very, very long. That's another one that comes up when you try to play the finals, or sometimes even an error will pop up, and that was for Splitgate's 2 playtest. So as you can see, it shows up completely random. It's never the same as it is on Windows, where you get a nice verified badge next to the game, like Deadlock, for example. That seems to come up properly most of the time. As you can see, here's some other ones like WRC 10, which is a rally racing game. And just to show you, I'll test out right now. I'll launch a random game, and you'll just see it will just choose the most random name that is running under wine/proton, and then it just won't look the same as it does on Windows. So one example, we can try launching Cyberpunk 2077. As you can see, here is the launcher, and as you can see, it's showing up as SRT-BWRAP, which is not the correct name of Cyberpunk 2077 at all. And it seems to be just a common thing when you try to launch any games through Proton, that Discord will just grab whatever random name that pops up first on Wine or /Proton, and it's just going to pick that and use that as that's the game that you're playing, when the person of your friends or some random user who looks at your profile, they won't know what the hell that game is because it's showing some random wine process. Now, one of the most annoying features that have not been implemented properly, there's multiple here that I'm going to talk about. Now, one of the most important features I would say that Discord is known for, that you can do on the application, is called screen sharing. Now, screen sharing used to work perfectly fine under X11, which is what controls your monitors. Now, we don't use X11 anymore. We have moved away from that. We've tried to use a new way of displaying things on your monitors, which is called Wayland, and we're all moving to that. And drivers have gotten really stable with using it, and desktop environments have mostly matured with feature parity to X11. There's a couple things left, but we we are using Wayland now. And so on Discord at the moment, when you try to go to a call, let's say we'll just go to this random call and we'll click share your screen. Now, when we first do it, it seems to work properly. It launches the picker window, which is a XDG desktop portal. If you don't know what that means, it's a type of tool that is used in different types of ways you can use it for. But it's mostly used, one way of using it is for screen sharing, or just like grabbing your screen or application or window you want to share, and then it goes through the portal in a sense, and then it goes to the application that the portal is like requesting that screen for. And so if you look here, it seems to look fine, right? When we select our monitor, like this one, for example, we can see it comes up, but then the picker respawns. And then when we try to screen share, so go live and we go into here, we can see that the screen share is endlessly loading. So screen sharing is completely broken right now under Linux, under a Wayland desktop. And then before this, because what it's using is the Wayland version of their API to get screen sharing working, which is like half done. It's like half broken right now. They used to use the X11 version, and then what you could do is run the application through a thing called X-Wayland, which runs the application in X11, and then it translates it to a X-Wayland window. So it tries to translate it to Wayland, so then the application can work. And then at that point, you were able to screen share perfectly fine without much issues. And you could use an application called X-Wayland Video Bridge, which was developed by the KDE developers. So you could use that, screen share under X-Wayland. But now, since Discord decided to, I think it was like they updated their Electron version, they've switched over to the Wayland version for screen sharing, and it doesn't work. As you can see, it just does not work. And if you try to do the picker, it's just going to keep spawning and you're never going to get anywhere. Now, one of the biggest problems with screen sharing on Linux is that there is no audio screen sharing. So when you screen share your screen, it's not going to pick up your audio at all, and you're not going to be able to share that to your friends so then they can hear it, which is really disappointing. And it has been a long issue with people just asking on the Discord forums, the feedback channels of Discord asking for it. And I think there's a forum on the Discord feedback that goes back like 6 years or something, and there's so many messages in it asking for support, and Discord has just ignored it. I'm guessing, Linux is too low of a market share, I guess, and they just haven't really thought about really doing anything about it unless there is an actual incentive to do it. And then the other one is that, there's no clip feature. So on Windows, you have a clip feature that allows you to clip certain things on your screen share that you're sharing with your friends. You get a nice clip or something, you can just clip it and then it stores it into a folder, like a video folder, where you can just rewatch that clip that you did. And then I guess one of the other issues with Discord is that they aren't using Wayland by default. So even though the screen share aspect is using Wayland, it's not using the actual application by default, is not switching to Wayland. So the application is running through X-Wayland, and then the screen share is running through a type of Wayland XDG desktop portal. So it's a bit of a mixture at the moment, and you can force Wayland on the desktop, but then you lose some other features that Wayland doesn't support yet, like global keybinds. And then one of the other features that Discord does not support is Discord Quest. Now, really, who gives a crap about Discord Quest? But it is a feature that isn't supported on Linux at all, and that's probably because games are running through Proton and Wine. Discord doesn't want to spend the time trying to figure out how Wine/Proton game that you're running, how to get it to detect that it's there, so then they can do the Discord quest for you, and then like activate the quest, so then you can do the quest and then get the reward from that quest. And that was one example where the first quest that came on was from the Finals, which is a FPS shooter, and there was a Discord quest for it, and it did not work on Linux, even though the game itself does work on Linux through Proton. So for me, I wasn't able to get the Discord quest, and other people were like, I'll just dual boot Windows to get the quest, even though it wasn't really that good. It was just a couple skins, but it is something that Discord should introduce on here, because they can definitely figure out a way to detect the process of the game that is running, so then they can, they can activate the quest, and you can do the quest and get the reward. And then the other one that someone might notice when installing Discord is that when they install it and they open it up and they start scrolling around and clicking around, they're like, this doesn't doesn't feel that great. It feels choppy, it feels a bit, laggy in a sense. It doesn't feel as smooth as it does on Windows. And that's because GPU acceleration is not set up properly on Discord. For some reason, if you go to the settings, right, GPU acceleration does exist. If you go to like advanced, it says hardware acceleration, turn on hardware acceleration, which uses your GPU to make Discord smoother. Turn this off if you're experiencing frame drops. But the thing is, it does not work on Linux. At least I think they may support specific hardware or versions of packages that they depend on that no one uses anymore. So then hardware acceleration doesn't work properly at all. And you get this laggy, stuttery experience when just hopping around Discord. Now on the Flatpak version of Discord, this isn't a problem. You can install Discord Flatpak. It has hardware acceleration enabled and it's a rather smooth experience. But on the native, if you have like a system package version of Discord, like I'm on Arch, so I go through the Arch repository and I grab Discord, it's going to be just a laggy, not really that good of a experience. And oftentimes, if you want to enable GPU hardware acceleration, the normal user that wants to try out Linux and they figure out like how to enable it, they'll be really confused of how to do it. You have to create a .desktop application of Discord, either by editing it on KDE Plasma, and then it's going to create a shortcut, and then you open the shortcut in a text document, and then you go to the exec here, and on the end with a space, you add all of these environment variables that you can add to the Discord Electron application to get things like hardware acceleration. So as you can see here, I have a ton enabled. I have different ones for VARPI, which is a type of GPU encoder for Intel and AMD. So I've tried to like enable that, even though half of these don't work properly because they haven't been implemented properly in either Discord or Chromium. And then as you can see here, I have the ignore GPU block list. So it's going to allow all of the GPUs to be allowed for hardware acceleration, enable the zero copy, which is a way of sending like buffer frames or something like really fast, basically. So then hardware acceleration is like extremely fast, extremely smooth. And then there's the disable GPU driver bug workaround also. So then, I get the best GPU hardware acceleration that I can get on Linux through Discord as the same that I would on Windows. So it's quite frustrating that you have to do this stuff on the system version of Discord on Linux to get simple features that should just be enabled by default now, because when it comes to maturity on Discord on Linux, it is gotten really good with things like Pipewire, like XCG Desktop Portal. All of these things have matured. Same things with like Mesa, for example, and VARPI and NVENC for encoding and decoding. All of these things have gotten extremely stable that Discord can 100% enable these things by default, but they won't for some reason, either because there's not enough Linux developers working there, or it's because of some other reason like the market share is just too low. And one of the last features that do not work on Linux that do work on Windows, and I don't know about Mac if this is supported, but the Discord overlay, which is a pretty important feature that lots of users like to use on Discord on Windows when they play games with friends. They like to have their friends icons on the top left so they know who is talking or screen sharing or watching your screen share. Tons of little things that are important. I don't use it personally, so when I moved to Linux, I didn't think of this feature because I don't use it. I know a lot of people like to use it. And when it comes to alternatives, there is, I think, 2 alternatives on Linux that you can use to hook up with Discord, and then the overlay will work perfectly fine under Wayland or X11. Now, the 2 overlays that I am talking about is called Discover Overlay, which is a pretty simple one that has been out for a long time, and it recently decided to support Wayland. It has pretty mixed reviews, I would say, of it like either not working or working perfectly fine. But I did find a new one that came out that was called Overlaid, which is supported on like all operating systems, I'm pretty sure, Windows, Mac, and Linux. And it works great. I used the system version of this, not the Flatpak version, because if I use the Flatpak version, it has its own little problems. So if you want to use this, please use the system package version of Overlaid, which I'm pretty sure is a app image, but it does work extremely well, and it looks really modern and very similar to how the Discord overlay works. But it's another feature that it can be supported on Linux. Wayland is able to support these things, but for some reason, Discord continues to ignore these features that Linux users would like to have, specifically Linux gamers would like to have, because if you don't know Discord, if there's any Discord developers watching this video, using Linux, you can play games on it now. I've been playing games on Linux for over 2 years now. Yes, there are some games that aren't supported because anti-cheat reasons, but there are multiplayer games that you can play on this, like Halo, The Finals, Overwatch, Apex, X-Defiant. There's a couple others that you can play also, and then you can play basically any campaign game through this translation layer called Proton. So please, Discord, any of these features not working currently, please. It would be amazing if you guys brought these features over to the Linux desktop, because as we can see, using Linux desktop today, it's perfectly fine. It's gotten really good. It's gotten really matured when it comes to its features, its tools that we use. They have really matured, I would say. And as I said in like the intro of the video, so many people have been asking for support in forums and blog posts. Like here's one from the Evil Skeleton, which if you don't know who this person is, it's just a random popular developer, I would say, in the Linux space. He makes some great applications. One I use personally, which is called Upscaler. Right here. This allows you to, well, upscale your images. So if you have a wallpaper or a profile picture that's really low quality, you can use this and it upscales images so damn well, I would say. And this person has worked in the Bottles project, which is a wine game manager for managing this thing called Bottles outside of Steam. So you can use things like Ubisoft, the EA launcher, or any other type of locally owned game that you have. You can create a bottle and then install the application inside of it. So it's a really cool project that he has worked on, and then he's also worked on his own one, like Upscaler, for example. But he made a blog post 2 years ago, and this is when I started using Linux around this time, or like the start of 2022. I was using Linux, and I saw this blog post, and I really thought that Discord might have, decided to read this and go, maybe we should, introduce some features for Discord. Which back then they did introduce Crisp, because Crisp was another feature that was not available on Discord, and then Discord decided to bring it over, or it was actually Crisp who did it because they already had a version for Linux, so that it wasn't really that big of an issue for Discord to support it on Linux, so it was rather easy. But he decided to make a blog post, and he was talking about the issues and the things that were actually supported on Electron, and just how, when it came to screen sharing and audio sharing, all of this is possible now. You can do this. And so when it comes to Discord supporting it, it shouldn't be that hard. And if you look at other applications like OBS Studio, the reason you're seeing my display right now is because I am using the XGG desktop portal plus Pipewire to capture the screen with GPU acceleration. And then if we go to Discord feedback website, this is where you can post your feedback about certain problems. If I just type in Linux and I go to the voice and video section, there is a bunch of posts about supporting it, supporting screen share with audio or screen share with GPU acceleration. All of this has been going on for many years now, and Discord just continues to really just have been ignoring it, except one developer that I did see talk about Discord actually supporting it at some point. And how this actually came to happen was that one of the developers who I knew, who was like friends with other Discord developers, and this person actually got to work at Discord for a couple of months, who introduced a bunch of new features into Discord, which is amazing that he's been able to do that. I did comment on one of his posts about it would be cool if they could fix, some of the issues in the Linux client, like simple things like, Wayland screen sharing or screen sharing with audio, other things as well. And he did reply, and he did say Jake, who I don't know who this person is, but it is a random Discord developer that works at Discord, and they said that they hope to get Wayland screen sharing supported this year. Now that was March 28th of this year. So when it comes to these type of features being supported, specifically Wayland screen share, it's not coming till maybe this year, maybe, but it's on the lowest priority of what they want to do when it comes to the features on Discord. It's on the lowest, I heard, lowest tier of like what they want to do, what they want to improve on Discord, which is really disappointing, but I do understand it at the same time because Linux is as high as Windows, so it's not as high as a priority when it comes to fixing bugs and implementing new features, but it is really really annoying that we don't get at least some things functional, like Wayland screen sharing, or Wayland being enabled by default, or GPU acceleration being enabled by default. Simple things that can literally just be like you just type a couple words and then it's enabled by default. Like, it's a pretty simple thing to do, and Discord just continues to ignore it for some reason. Now, on the bright side, Discord has been releasing patch notes every month about what they've been fixing, what they've been introducing, and they did fix one Linux issue, which was about the rich presence being broken, which it was broken for like a couple months, where you weren't able to look at your applications / processes that are running in the background, so you can pick one for your rich presence. That was completely broken, and Discord finally fixed it. I think it was last month they fixed it, but they have been releasing these patch notes every month, showing off all the new features that they have been introducing, all the bug fixes that they have been fixing, and that's really good to see. And I hope that we see next month or the month after that more Linux fixes, or the features that Windows has that can be brought over to Linux, and then so the parity between Linux versus Windows with the Discord application can kind of just end, because it really just shouldn't be like this. And it gets to the point where you have to find alternatives. So for I would say the past like year or two, people have been using third-party Discord web versions of Discord that have some of the features or are more secure when it comes to making it like in a Flatpak package, or using a newer Electron version, which is the wrapper that wraps around Discord, that is Chromium basically. That's what Discord runs off, it's just Chromium through a type of SDK or API called Electron. And so these applications, example VESKTOP, has been one that I've been using for the past, I would say like 5 or 6 months now on Linux, and it offers a lot of things like Linux screen sharing with sound, and it's enabled Wayland by default, and it's enabled GPU acceleration by default. And then also it's been fixing tons of issues with its own, because they had to create their own screen share API because Discord uses its own, so they had to use and create their own to get like the sound working, the hardware acceleration working with things like VARPI on an AMD card, so you can do VARPI encoding, all this stuff, so that Linux users can just use Discord. They can screen share with sound with their friends, and that's what I've been doing. I've been screen sharing sound with my friends, and it has worked basically perfectly, at least on my hardware. There is like a couple other bugs that are out there still with like other different hardware, but when it comes to, this alternative, it's a great alternative that I would recommend for a Linux user that wants screen share with sound, wants hardware acceleration enabled by default. And of course, you are avoiding the TOS of Discord. I think Discord has said a lot of times that you only get suspended or banned on an account if you're doing things in a malicious way. So you can use this, and you can use like some of WEBCORD's like mod plugins. I do use a couple, like the volume booster. That's a really important one for me, so I can hear my friends more loudly. But when it comes to using VESKTOP, the chances of you getting banned or avoiding the TOS is only if you're going to use it in a malicious way. If you're not really gonna break the rules necessarily. And I think Discord knows about this whole situation with people using third-party Discord applications to get certain features or improvements to make Discord better. Yeah, so this is my conclusion of the Discord on Linux situation. Discord is missing a ton of important features that I know a lot of gamers that would like to try out Linux, and they move over to Linux and they try out Discord and they go, oh, Discord overlay's not there. I can't screen share with my friends, can't screen share with audio. Rich presence is broken, doesn't work the same as it does on Windows. So the whole experience when using Discord on Linux is subpar compared to Windows. So I hope that Discord does support these features at some point. And yeah, that's kind of the end of the video. If you guys did enjoy watching this whole rather small rant about Discord not supporting these features, definitely give it a like. Definitely thank you to my members also. I really do appreciate you guys giving me money every single month. And we have made it to 5.8 thousand subscribers. So thank you very much for that. Also, I really do appreciate it. I'll continue to put out content every 4 or so days of just different content, either trying out different Linux distros, different games that may be tested through Proton, or any other things, different tutorials about how to install Linux distros or products and such. Yeah, so I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.